We've all come from the earth, so we should go back to the earth as we have since the dawn of time. And I think we've lost touch with that, and now we're coming back to it.
Beneath the vibrant green moss and gorgeous autumn leaves, in the soil of this winding nature trail, lie loved ones laid to rest in the original, natural way.
It feels different than a typical cemetery.
It feels lighter. It's not as heavy.
Yes.
And you know, the recreational aspect of it, to see people out here just enjoying the property feels good.
Remembrance markings etched in real stones, not fabricated unnatural concrete, dot the winding trails. Here, death is breathing new life beneath our feet.
If the stone was not there, you would never know there was a burial there. Nature is incredibly healing.
Yeah.
Ed Bixby is the president of the Green Burial Council and owner of Steelmantown Cemetery and Nature Preserve. He views death not as a somber moment, but a celebration of life and a way to return back to Mother Nature naturally.
A natural burial means no embalming, no outer burial container like a concrete vault, biodegradable burial container itself, and no upright monument set in concrete. But the biggest part of what we do is the family participation, so the family can be part of the entire process from start to finish.
For 15 years, he's been reclaiming and restoring natural burial traditions, proving that going green doesn't have to end when our time here does.
Is it as simple then as just going back to the earth?
It's as simple as picking up a shovel and opening a gravesite, nothing more.
A traditional burial produces 250 pounds of carbon, whereas a green burial sequesters 25 pounds of carbon.
Prior to the Civil War, many cemeteries were created as garden cemeteries. So some of the largest cemeteries in America that are the most picturesque, giant, beautiful cemeteries were to be used by the family on a daily basis to picnic and congregate. We got away from that.
According to the National Funeral Directors Association, cremation is the most widely used process. Of the more than 3 million people who died in the U.S. in 2021, more than half were cremated.
For most of my life, I know I thought cremation was for me because it would take up less space and just made sense. But that has a pretty big carbon footprint too. It can be like taking a 500-mile trip in a vehicle. So doing something like this, where stones or a tree mark your burial site and you go straight into the ground, is likely the best for the planet.
Across the nation in Seattle, Washington, Katrina Spade has developed an option for those who might not have access to open green burial fields.
I was approaching my 30th birthday and I started to feel mortal. And I started to look into the options for my body after I died. And I found out of a practice that farmers use, and I thought, if you can compost a cow, you can probably compost a human being.
Surrounded by alfalfa, wood chips, and straw, the body is placed inside the vessel where it will decompose for more than a month. By the end of the process, each body will create 1 cubic yard of nutrient-rich soil, filling an entire pickup truck bed.
I like to think about composting as what is happening on the forest floor all over the world, where you have dead leaves and sticks and your errant chipmunk all decomposing to create topsoil. In a lot of ways, human composting is taking that same process and putting it inside of a vessel and refining it and making sure it's happening in a really rigorous, closely monitored way. I love the idea that after I die, I don't necessarily have to go to a natural burial ground somewhere out in the countryside somewhere, but rather I can return to the city as soil and actually be part of the urban fabric that way.
Human composting is only currently legal in 5 states: Washington, Oregon, Colorado, Vermont, and most recently, California.
The difficulty in making human composting available to everyone everywhere is that you have to approach each state and then approach their laws separately.
She's also created a pre-death program called Pre-Composed.
We have over 1,000 members who've prepaid for their funerals with us, their future funerals with us. And about 25% of those are under the age of 49. And so you think of all these young people, 20, 30, 40, signing up for their funeral service. It speaks to the real desire to have meaningful options and environmental options when you die. Cemeteries all over the world are reaching capacity. Turns out it doesn't really make good business sense to sell someone a piece of land for eternity.
When I first heard Katrina talk about her ideas. It resonated on so many levels.
We would just need
Nina Schoen is a Precompose member. She makes monthly payments to prepay her funeral at Recompose.
What's important to me is this process of transforming into soil, of transforming into something that can nourish new life, that is meaningful. That is the pinnacle of what I want. And what happens after that, to me, is for my loved ones. If they want a keepsake amount of soil, if they want to plant a tree, if they want to donate the soil to a part of nature that needs nourishment, that's all fine with me. My goal has already been accomplished.
While our death does mean the end for our body, it can be a beautiful transformation of new life for Earth.
I had a young lady come down from New York City, and when it came time to lay her mother to rest, she took off her high heels and she grabbed that shovel and she filled that grave in by herself. She needed to do it for herself. And she collapsed when it was done, and it changed her forever.